oh, it's not very good. It's the last album, and John Sykes had come in, and that made them really heavy metal, and it's got a terrible cover, and the songs aren't as good, and they're not as groovy as they were when they did maybe Jailbreak or even Chinatown. And yes, some of those things are correct. The cover of this album is terrible. It is the last Thin Lizzy album. John Sykes had taken over, and yes, it does sound a little heavier, a little more metallic. That's partially to do with the production. More of this in a minute. Now, it's Thunder and Lightning. God damn, it's so exciting. And I watched Thin Lizzy in a great bit of live work for Sight and Sound, BBC Radio Sight and Sound, and all right, not half, and they didn't seem like a band on the wane. They didn't seem like a band who had no ideas. They didn't seem like a band who weren't enjoying it. They didn't look as sparky, but then we know the situation. And let's add some context here, ladies and gentlemen. People who say this album is shite have got to remember that if you're talking about shite, remember the last album with Snowy White? Remember Renegade? Yeah, remember that? That is not a good album. At least this album has some kind of spark to it, has some kind of energy to it. Now, it came out in 83, and I remember having it in my... in fact, I had the deluxe version, so it got live tracks on it, and some 12-inch tracks, if I remember rightly. I think Thunder and Lightning, which is a bloody good song to begin with and a big offer, was even bigger on that. It was a cassette tape, and I put it in a very slimline Walkman. And I remember having that. Yeah, I might have got it just as I was going to college. So that would be 83 to 84. No, or would it? No, I had a year out when I worked in the theatre during that time. So it must have been, I must have bought it after the fact in 84. People were saying, oh, there's no point to all this, it's terrible, cover's awful, and that's right. It's a sort of, I don't know what it is, it's kind of like a metallic, ululating and undulating ground with really quite poor, it's all black sky, but really quite poor, a crack of thunder, no, lightning, a bolt of lightning, that's what it is, out of a clear sky, the only bit of clear sky, which hits a guitar, which is in the distance, and in the foreground is a hand poking up through the kind of, I suppose it's supposed to be soil. It looks silver. So you've got a hand with a studded glove on it, which of course Phil did wear a studded glove when he played bass. I can't remember whether it's around this time only, but it's a bloody horrible cover. It is. But this album, it didn't do as badly as people think. It got to number 4 in this country. It got to number 126 in the Billboard album chart. Not the rock album chart, the Billboard album chart. It ain't too bad, is it? Now, people don't tend to like it very much generally. But some people said it was an improvement. Some people said that, and it's definitely heavier. One of the reasons being, and sharper. What you don't get is that groove. All of the sharp edges are still here. There's not a big bass bottom groove here at all. Now, it is produced by Chris Tsangarides, who of course is your big new wave of British heavy metal producer. And in 83, I mean, you can have a question on that, and I've had a conversation with a few people in a group recently about whether or not 82 is the end of the new wave of British heavy metal. But if you're looking at that movement and thinking, well, that's where rock's going, let's try a bit of that, this does. And you've also got Darren Wharton in there, haven't you? What you don't have, actually, he's on synths, more of that in a minute, but what you don't have is a kind of, well, Scott Gorham's far more groovy and lyrical, and then you've got all the whittling with John Sykes. They match each other beautifully and mesh beautifully. Darren Wharton he's a feature. of this album. He's not there just to say, oh, well, let's get some embellishment and augmentation going on. He is a feature. So, Thunder and Lightning, God damn, it's so exciting. It hits you like a hammer coming down. And I don't think I've ever heard, even with Are You Ready? Are you ready to rip it up? I don't think I've ever heard Phil Lynott giving a more, such a fast and energetic and breathless, not breathless, but not able to draw breath performance. It is a massive urgency. They want to tell you about it. And what you've also got is guitars traded to synths, traded back to guitars. Beautifully done. They use that synth wonderfully. It is a great way to start. It's a massive offer. The kitchen sink is in there, Follocks. After that, you got This Is The One, which is, you know, I thought it's softer that, but actually, you've got some really sharp, because of Chris Tsangarides' production, you've got some really sharp power chords in there and riffs, and really, but you've got that very tumbling, lyrical, I feel it, I touch it, and all that. I can feel it in my bones. This is the one. That beautiful kind of poppy thing. It really works. There's real atmosphere with Phil Lynott wringing every bit of emotion out of this song. The Sun Goes Down. That was Phil and Darren Wharton who wrote that. They wrote This Is The One together as well. You've also got The Holy War, which wants to be a bigger track. It wants to be more dramatic, but it has that kind of descending, that lovely cascading riff, and it pulls itself to this is a rock track, but really what it wants is, because of the religious and that holy war folks type lyric, it needs more time. Actually, I feel I like it. It ended the first side, if you were looking to turn your vinyl over, and then you've got simple, beautiful. What is it? Is it to lose means trouble, to win means double, and I've got me a heavy bet? Or is it the other way around? It's beautiful. And it's also got that great line, which I quoted when I did the live review. I've got a whole month's wages. I haven't seen that much in ages. I could spend it in stages or move out to Las Vegas. It's just fantastic. And it is a metal. No, it's not a metal track. There's no metal here. This is hard rock, but it has a sharp groove to it, actually. It does have groove, this. Someday she's going to hit back. Ding, 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 ding. It's got that bass on it. He said, playing the bass on his capacious stomach. It's a bit filler. Baby Please Don't Go is the most lyrical thing and lilting thing on this, and it's got a lovely little do 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 riff later on. It's beautiful. It's a bit 60s pop at times. Really nice, but with a really sunny. I mean, it's anguish because Baby Please Don't Go, but it's. And then we're into Bad Habits. Down, 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 down. Yeah, it really has a groove. As I'm thinking about it, I'm remembering that there's more groove here than I thought there was. It's filler, but it's not filler. That's wrong. It ain't filler. Phil could never do filler. It's not a track you go to immediately. Written with, by Scott with Phil Lynott. Both of them. And you wouldn't go to it immediately when you were thinking of Thin Lizzy or even this album. But it's lovely to spend time with. And they finish with Heart Attack, which is great. Gorham, Lynott, Wharton. John Sykes is quoted on here. He wrote a bit of Cold Sweat. But Heart Attack. It's fantastic. I love my girl, but she don't love me back. Beautiful. I'm dying of a heart attack. It's lovely, accessible, radio rock. This is in no way a band who are on the way out. I would have said that about Renegade, which is an album I simply do not like. But it doesn't have the songs. But this has real energy and quality and a sense that there could be more, which is why people sometimes are a bit, oh no, why wasn't there more? Of course they used new wave of British heavy metal. Of course they did. Of course they used that resurgence in rock. Of course they did. Why wouldn't you? And it covers some of that. But you know what? If you ain't got the songs, you ain't got a chance. And this album needs to be reappraised, and needs to be reappraised right now. It also needs a new cover. Ta-ta.